It's Jack from B&T MacFarlane. Today we're going over some easy maintenance tips to keep your tractor running. So let's get into it. A lot of people, when they first get their tractor, they're a little bit intimidated because they get an expensive piece of equipment like this L3902 here, and then they have to start maintaining it. But we're gonna go in today some easy checkups that you can do yourself at home before you use your tractor on a weekly basis and more of on a semi-annually basis, so that you don't have to bring the tractor to the dealership or call the service department in order to get these maintenance tips. The first one is a quick and easy daily check that you should be doing. It's not as common on new tractors, but it's definitely not uncommon. Is some oil leaks from the front axle as well as some fittings on the back. So a lot of these tractors, when they're new from factory, there could be a couple fittings that are a little bit loose, especially if you get a loader with the tractor. So when you first get it, just check underneath the front axle, around the loader valve, and around the back of the tractor for a couple oil drops. It's not the most uncommon thing, but it's definitely a good habit to have, especially if you park it inside your garage, like here on this concrete floor. It would be incredibly easy to see some oil leaks underneath the tractor. But if you do park it outside and you're a little bit worried, you can leave a couple pieces of cardboard or anything else that would show the oil leaking. And this becomes more prevalent in older tractors. As you use the loader more and as you put more weight on that front axle, it can wear some of the seals down. So that's a really common thing that we see, is the gear bath inside of that front axle starts to leak a little bit. So if you see that, it's really no big issue. It could be fixed with a couple of seals. The next thing you should be checking, it's a little bit more obvious one, is you should make sure that there's actually diesel fuel inside of your tractor. There's nothing worse than being out far away from your house or from your garage, wherever you store your diesel fuel, and then having to walk back with jerry cans when your tractor runs out of fuel. The next thing you should be checking, this is more of a weekly check. It's not as important, but you should be checking the oil levels in your tractor. There's a dipstick on every single one of the tractors that we sell. So the engine oil check is pretty mandatory, as well as the hydraulic oil check. That's at the back of the tractor with, again, a little dipstick, or there could be a sight glass if you have a little bit bigger tractor. That one's a little bit more crucial, especially if you're flipping implements. If you're taking your loader on and off a lot, or taking your backhoe on and off a lot, when you undo those fittings, there is a little bit of hydraulic fluid loss. So that's a little bit more important to check, especially if you're flipping implements. Another easy thing you can do for your tractor is checking the radiator screen right here. A lot of the tractors, they do come with a radiator screen, whether it be back here or at the front of the tractor. So that's if you're gonna be doing a lot of mowing or working in dusty conditions. A lot of these tractors, they do have a temperature gauge, so you will notice if the temperature starts to go up a little bit higher. That's a pretty safe bet to start, is checking that screen and blowing it off if you're doing a lot of mowing in the dry summertime when it gets really dusty. Blow that off about once a week. As well, check your air filter. That's a super easy check to do as well. It just pops open like this, and your air filter, first thing in the morning, it'll come open and you can just pull it out like that. And you can blow it off and check this as well. This is another safe bet too, to check if your tractor is overheating, and it takes about all of 30 seconds to pull it out and blow it off. When you do blow these off, make sure you stand pretty far away, because if you do it too close, you can put little holes inside of the air filter. This right here will save you a ton of money in repair bills over the long haul of your tractor or piece of construction equipment. We use Cinto grease, specifically the RG2 brand, but any other grease that's similar to this will work well for your tractor. Right on the side of the tractor and on the excavators and construction equipment says do it every 10 hours. So for most people, this is once every 2 weeks. But there's no harm in over greasing your machine. You can never do that. So grease up and make sure you grease all the grease fittings. There is a little bit of a checklist online and in your owner's manual to make sure you get every fitting on your loader, your backhoe, and the tractor itself, and whatever other implements that you may have. But this is definitely something you want to keep on hand at your shop with your tractor. And I would also recommend investing in a good grease gun as well. One that's battery powered makes this a lot easier rather than having to pump it into your tractor. Just a nice battery operated one from Canadian Tire would go a long way. If you're feeling a little bit more confident, you can do the first oil change on your tractor. It's pretty straightforward. You just drain the oil, obviously, and then right here on the side of the tractor and on most tractors will be your oil filter, and you can just replace that. That's something that a lot of our customers do end up doing. I'd say about 40% of them do it themselves, and the other 60 have us do it for them. If you are feeling, again, more confident, you can do all the maintenance on the tractor yourself. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but it definitely does take a little bit of practice. Another thing you should be doing after the first 10 hours or so of tractor use is checking the wheel torque on your tires. This doesn't happen a whole lot, but it does happen from time to time that with a lot of vibration, these nuts and bolts, they can vibrate themselves loose. So just go around with a torque wrench and just look at the specs in your manual and get every single wheel nut all around your tractor to make sure your tires stay on your tractor. Now we're going to talk about a couple more seasonal items on the maintenance tips. The first one being regarding mowers. A lot of our tractors, subcompact and compact tractors, can have a mid-mount mower deck and zero turns as well. Make sure you are cleaning your mower decks and clean them thoroughly, whether you have to take them completely off in order to do that or jack up the front of the zero turn in order to really get in there and pressure wash it. It goes a long way. It'll preserve the lifetime of your deck, and it'll make it last a lot longer so it doesn't rust out and keeps it running year after year for you. Not so much of a maintenance item, but a good check you should be doing after storing your equipment for the winter is checking for mouse nests inside of the engine compartment. This can be a huge fire hazard whenever you go to start your tractor or lawnmower for the first time. It does happen from time to time here where we see tractors, they overheat or they won't start in the spring and summertime because a little mouse has formed a nest inside of the engine compartment. If you plan on using your tractor in the winter, putting some diesel fuel conditioner inside of your tank is a very good idea. They do get gummed up if the temperature drops below -10 degrees Celsius. So it is a good tip, because if your fuel filter does get gummed up, you do have to bring it into the dealership or flush the fuel system yourself. Another thing to note too, if you plan on storing the tractor over the winter period or over the summer period too, disconnecting your battery is also very helpful. It'll just make sure that your battery lasts a little bit longer and that it'll start easier in the summertime. Keeping on the theme of seasonal maintenance is wintertime maintenance. The winter has got to be the hardest season on your equipment, whether that be running into ice, snow banks, going through salted roads. But if you're planning on using your tractor at all for wintertime use, I would recommend doing a couple of things. The first one being getting a good oil spray on your tractor, especially if you're more of in a suburban area where they do heavily salt the roads and then that can spray back onto your tractor. There's nothing worse than investing in a brand new tractor and after a couple of seasons, the snowblower or even the tractor itself starts to get a bit of rust on it. So a good oil spray goes a long way on the tractor. As well, in the springtime, make sure you give your tractor a good deep clean with a really good soap. And it's basically like washing your car. Make sure you get every nook and cranny and then spray down your snowblower as well, because there's nothing worse than leaving salt and snow on your snowblower over the summer months, because then that will rust out your snowblower and ruin the longevity and the lifetime of your implements. I just want to thank you guys for watching. If you have any maintenance tips of your own that are pretty easy, leave them down below in the comments. And if you're liking the videos, remember to like them and subscribe. And if you need help with parts, sales, or service, give us a call at 613-225-0555. Thank you.